is Lars from Glutinous Maximus Sourdough, and today I'm going to show you how to make some sourdough bagels. And the ingredients we'll need to start this recipe are 1,000 grams of bread flour, 300 grams of active sourdough starter, 20 grams of salt, 50 grams of sugar, and 650 grams of water total, but we're going to heat up 600 grams initially to about 93 degrees to disperse with our active starter. Cover this for 1 hour, do the fermentolyse, then we'll add the 20 grams of salt and an additional 50 grams of water, work that in, and then we'll start stretching folds. All right, fermentolyse has finished. We can add the 20 grams of salt and the remaining 50 grams of water. And we'll just work this in with our hand to incorporate the salt and the water. All right, we'll cover it, let it rest for 30 minutes, and start stretching folds. We're ready for the first set of stretching folds after 30 minutes of resting. We're ready now for our second set of stretch and folds. See, the dough is starting to get smoother. It's developing some nice gluten structure. Let it rest for another 30 minutes for round 3. We are ready for our third and final set of stretch and folds. We'll just do some coil folds. Dough is developing really well. We'll just let this sit and bulk ferment for an additional 2 hours. Once bulk fermentation has been completed, we will dump out our dough to a lightly floured surface, and we will divide it up as evenly as possible. Ultimately, we're looking for dough balls to weigh roughly 125 grams, and we'll use both hands to gently form a ball to create some tension on the outside of the dough. We will then place each ball onto a tray lined with parchment paper, sprayed with a light layer of cooking oil to prevent any of the dough balls from sticking to the parchment paper. At this point, we will prepare our water to boil the bagels by adding 1/4 cup of baking soda. And then we will individually form each bagel. We'll grab each ball, poke our fingers through the center to create a hole and stretch them out into a ring shape. And you can see sometimes they'll contract a little bit, but you can always just stretch them back out. Place them onto a baking sheet lined with parchment with a slight layer of cooking oil. You can also let them rest for an additional 30 minutes before you boil so they can rise a little bit more. We'll add a little everything bagel spice to a plate, and then we will start dipping each bagel into the boiling caustic solution, boiling on each side for roughly 30 seconds. This will help set the crust for the bagel. And once we get all of the bagels boiled for roughly 1 minute apiece, we'll start adding the toppings. Just dip the top of each bagel into the topping like so, and then we'll place the tray into a 425 degree preheated oven and bake the bagels for roughly 20 to 25 minutes until they are golden brown. Now we'll set out to make the sesame seed bagels. And just like previously, we will form the bagels by taking each ball, poking our fingers through the center of the ball and stretching it out into a nice ring shape. We'll then bring them over to the boiling water, which is again a caustic solution of baking soda. And the baking soda also helps the bagel brown on the outside. Very similar to like when you're making a pretzel. Once we get the bagels boiled, and again, that's for roughly 30 seconds per side, so about a minute total per bagel. You can also only do it for 30 seconds. This will give a less chewier overall crust on your bagel. But if you prefer a nice chewy exterior for your bagel, I recommend boiling for at least the 1 minute period. Now the bagels are all boiled. We'll then start adding the sesame seeds. Again, dip the top of each bagel to put a nice coating of sesame seeds on the top of each bagel. And then these bagels will go into the same 425 degree preheated oven for roughly 20 to 25 minutes. And then 25 minutes later, we get nice browned bagels. Now for the third flavor of bagel, we're going to do onion bagels. And you're just going to get yourself some dehydrated onion flakes. And again, we will set out by shaping the bagels like we had previously with the everything and the sesame bagels. Lay them out onto the sheet. Bring them over to the caustic solution. And again, the boiling really helps set the crust of the bagel. If you skip the boiling step when you make bagels, you're going to end up with something that's more like a roll. It's really not going to have that exterior chew like you'd get from a really good New York style bagel or any bagel, good bagel you'll find in the Northeast. And since I live in California, finding a good bagel is near impossible, which is what led me down the path of just making my own. And once I found out how simple it was a no-brainer. So I no longer buy bagels from bagel shops. There's a few in the area that are okay. But here we are, we're going to add the dehydrated onion flakes to the top of the bagels like we had previously. Once we get a nice coating of onion flakes on the top, we will again transfer the tray to the preheated 425 degree oven and bake for roughly 20 to 25 minutes until they come out a nice golden brown color, which through the magic of editing we get here now. And you can see they're not burnt, nice and golden. For the fourth flavor of bagels, I decided to do salt bagels. Now, some people may not like salt bagels. Other people love salt bagels. But we will start out the same way. Shape our bagels, get about 6 on a half sheet here, and bring them to the solution. Start the whole boiling process. I don't have the largest pot, so I can really only fit 2 in at a time, but since we're only baking 6 bagels at a time, it's not too bad. And like I said, do the full minute boil. This really gives you a better chewy overall crust like a good New York style bagel will give you. boiling process has been completed, we're going to use pretzel salt. And you really need to get pretzel salt because pretzel salt, the crystals do not melt when you bake them. Sea salt or coarse sea salt will not work the same. Get a nice coating of salt on the top of the bagels, place them in the 425-degree oven, and bake them for 20 to 25 minutes. Here's a nice little shot of the 3 flavors we have done so far: the onion, the sesame, and the everything bagels. After 20-25 minutes, we will remove our bagels from the oven. You'll see they are a nice golden brown color, and the salt has not dissolved on the top of the bagel. So you'll get that nice, crunchy, salty flavor like you would from a soft pretzel. For the 5th and final bagel flavor, we're just going to do plain. I love plain bagels. I think everyone loves plain bagels. Who likes bagels? They're simple. You don't have to fuss with any toppings. And they're great for sandwiches as well as just a little smear of cream cheese. So we'll place the boiled plain bagels into the 425-degree oven, baking them for 20 to 25 minutes. And here we are, nice golden brown color. Beautiful bagels, just like you'd expect from a New York City deli. Enjoy. Now let's get some epic orbiting shots of our 5 bagel flavors: sesame, everything, onion, plain, and salt. These sourdough bagels are amazing. Not difficult to make, very easy. Get your starter squared away, follow the instructions, and have fun. That's the most important aspect of going down the sourdough rabbit hole. So let's cut open a bagel and take a look at the inside. This was the smallest one that I had made. It was the remaining bit of dough, and it probably only weighed about 80 or 90 grams. So it's a little smaller than the regular bagels, but here you can see a good inside shot of the development. We have some decent holes going in there. Still a little warm. Perfect for adding a smear of cream cheese. We'll add a little bit of that to the bagel. that spread nice and even, my favorite additional topping is red pepper flakes. Now what I'm adding here is a proprietary blend that I make. It contains 24 different types of hot chili peppers, from mild to wild. We're talking Butte Jalokia and so on. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your sourdough bagels. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to watch a new video every week.